Braden Timmons and his Bat Productions has a follow-up to the Haddonfield Nightmare called The Last Nightmare Part 1. It's a fun little fan film about our beloved Michael Myers. Let's review it. The Last Nightmare Part 1 stars Peter Jurek, Alice Bozga, Andre McGraw, and is directed by Braden Timmons.
He has no motives. If he sees, he kills.
Tell the town to lock their doors. No one in, no one out.
What's up, guys? Welcome to a brand new 2024 review. We're going to review Braden Timmons' The Last Nightmare Part 1. Obviously, there's going to be another part to this. This is 45 minutes long. I would imagine the next one will be 45 minutes long. I remember Braden doing the promotion for this, the Indiegogo for this, maybe 2 years ago, something like that. Braden could correct me on that, but he had the Haddonfield Nightmare in 2021. And man, I tell you, the guy and his team, they are super hardworking, but they're also very passionate about Halloween and putting forth the best effort that they can for a fan film. And I gotta say, this is a very well put together little fan film. I had so much fun with it that I went back and rewatched the Haddonfield Nightmare, which I hadn't seen, I think, since that came out. Because it's fun to go back and kind of catch up. Because if you don't know what the Haddonfield Nightmare is, I would urge you to watch that before you watch this, because this takes place the second that the Haddonfield Nightmare ends. But also, it was cool to go back and watch, the beginning of this whole saga. This takes place 22 years after the events of Halloween H2O. Peter Jurek does such a great job filling the shoes of Josh Hartnett playing the adult John Tate. And man, is he a very convincing actor, but he also looks the part. I mean, he looks like what John Tate would probably look like. And I was reminded when I went back and watched the Haddonfield Nightmare how great of an actor he is. And he really brings it in this one as well. That's the first thing I think that's going to stick out to you once the train gets a-rolling in this movie is, for a fan film, it's pretty good acting, pretty competent acting. And the two standouts for me were definitely him and also Andre McGraw playing Officer Williams. And that's not to take anything away from the rest of the cast. I think everybody comes and brings their A game. But I think as far as a character with a lot of meat on the bone in the movie, these two characters, they have a lot of heavy lifting to do. Not just lengthwise, but also in the emotion department. They really have to deliver it, in sadness and in anger and rage. And there's a lot of great moments in this movie. There's some good Myers kills, of course. James Grimm came back and I guess modified the mask. It still looks like the same mask from the previous movie, but obviously for continuity's sake and everything that went down in that movie, you're going to upgrade the new mask. And I like that they have their own kind of vibe, because there's a lot of Halloween fan films where it's hard to differentiate them because the mask, more times than not, they go with the tried and true look that you get from the movies. But when you watch the Haddonfield and then the Last Nightmare, the mask has its own distinct stamp on it, which is really cool. I believe Chad Sumner plays Myers in this movie. It was a different actor that played him in the last movie. But I think you wouldn't be able to tell the difference, and that's a good thing. I think Chad, he carries forward the mannerisms that the character had in the last one. But Myers, boy, he doesn't hold back in this either. He's pretty damn ruthless. And I have to give credit to the practical effects work in this. This is all practical effects. Finding ways to get creative and work around the shot. It's hard to show a money shot when you have to do a little bit of a cutaway. But there's still ways around that to make it look like you did see the kill shot. And then when you go back and look at it, you're like, oh, this was all done in editing. It's really cool. Not to say that there aren't some kill shots in this. There's definitely some good ones. I won't spoil them. One that I really did like, though, reminded me of a scene in The Dark Knight with the pencil gag with the Joker. And as soon as it happened, I jumped. I was like, oh, yes, that's it. That was great. And there's a lot of good kills in this. But also, I think the movie takes the time to breathe at times, and you know, has some nice little exposition going on. There's a really good scene between John Tate and Officer Williams, where John Tate comes forth with some new information that he had been holding close to the vest, and then getting to see these characters react to that information, and it becomes a pretty emotional scene. But when it's all said and done, you will definitely notice that, oh, okay, this definitely feels like part 1 of 2. You know, part 2 is not going to be like a completely separate movie, and I don't think I'm spoiling anything by that. But when a director puts a part 1 on a movie, then obviously there's a part 2 planned, and when you put them together, it's going to be one complete story. Actually, when you put all 3 together, the Haddonfield Nightmare, it's going to be one complete story. But one thing that was really nice, though, is when I went back and watched Haddonfield Nightmare, I think these characters, they all have a certain charm that I guess gives this Nightmare series sort of a signature, which is really fun. I actually had a good time going back and watching the first one, and some of the lighter moments, you know, I guess the calm before the storm, and the storm hits in the final act of the Haddonfield Nightmare, but I guess you could say this movie is all storm. So yeah, I highly recommend this, and it's free. I mean, what do you want? It's freaking free. In October, you get to watch a new Michael Myers movie, right? So definitely check out The Last Nightmare, Part 1. If you haven't seen the Haddonfield Nightmare, I urge you to check that out first. Guys, real quick, one thing I did not mention is the music in this movie. Sometimes in my train of thought, I forget things. And I definitely wanted to mention this because Mike Chabante did a completely original score for this, and that needs to be mentioned. He changes the cue, you know, the original Halloween theme cue that we all know and love, the 5/4 time. He changes the note just a little bit to give, again, another signature to this movie. And Mike Chabante always does a phenomenal job. Check out his Spotify page, but also he did like this epic orchestral theme for Halloween Kills a couple years ago, which it's literally on my running playlist when I go and exercise. I still listen to it to this day, and I used it at the beginning of my Halloween beginning to ends documentary. So Mike Chabante knocking it out of the freaking park once again. But yeah, anyway guys, back to the review. For a fan film, I'm definitely giving this a purchase worthy. Really fun. So anyway guys, let me know what you guys think of The Last Nightmare Part 1. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts. Also, be sure to come over to Killer Flicks, where we talk horror all day and every day. And on Fridays, Rudy Fever for Fridays. Follow me at Drumdums, and on my social, support me on Patreon, buy me a coffee. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and Drumdum out.